Ashe, 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 and grand rising. A grand day to you all. Once again, my very beautiful people, and especially you, my awakened and enlightened people the world over. Yes, you don't know that it is yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. And as is my custom, along with some of my recorded chirping bird sounds and some of my rusty finger picking guitar playing, gently playing in the background. And yes, I'm here to share with you another time some more of my unique and thought-provoking perspectives and insights. And yes, my people, let me remind you that it is high time for reason and for reasoning. In fact, if I might add, it is high time for thinking and for reasoning. Someone once said, reason is dead, reasoning is dead. So let me again remind you that if you are not thinking, if at all we are not thinking, we cannot prove that we are living. If you are not thinking, you cannot prove to yourself, let alone prove to anyone else that you are alive, that you are living. For without thinking, what do you know? And without thinking, how do you know that you know or that you don't know? Now, before I continue by introducing the topic, today's talk, that I must take the time out and say thank you to all you, my very few but rational, highly intelligent, independent, and analytical thinking truth seekers and loyal subscribers and my listeners, and especially those of you that took the time to write comments on my YouTube channel. Thanks also for your inquiry into my overall well-being and as to why I had stopped sharing my perspectives on current issues via this channel, via this medium for a while, or via this portal. Now, today's topic is what I call a how-to topic. How-to. Pretty much an instructional topic, if you will. How to easily, and the topic is how to easily identify all the condemned, God-forsaken people of the world. How to easily identify all the condemned, God-forsaken people of the world. These people are also known as the evils, the devils, the nuisances that are on this, our beautiful planet and Mother Earth. How to easily identify them. So in this presentation, I will share with you some of my thought-provoking perspectives and insights on how you too, my listeners, can or how you may easily identify those that I, the Mystic Philosopher, perceive to be the unnatural ones. Yes, the condemned, God-forsaken people of the world that are also known as the evils, the devils, and nuisances that are on this, our planet, on Mother Earth. And what are they here doing? Corrupting the earth and its natural inhabitants. That's what they are here doing, corrupting the earth and its natural inhabitants and its atmosphere. Causing what? Wars. Causing chaos. Causing sicknesses. Causing unnecessary suffering. Causing unnatural deaths. And in some cases, one might add untimely deaths. Causing all form of injustices, wars, and destruction, just to name a few, on the earth that they are causing on this our planet and Mother Earth, and especially those evils, those devils, or even more precisely, yes, the devils that are both overtly and covertly dwelling among us, the natural native earthly humans. So please let me begin by asking the following, what I consider to be pertinent questions. How do we as naturally intelligent, sentient, natural native earthly humans know, and not only know, but also know that we know that a person or an individual, that a person or a nation is God-forsaken and condemned? How do we know? Or how can we know? How do we as naturally intelligent, now not artificially intelligent, that is a whole other topic for another time, but naturally intelligent, sentient, natural native earthly humans know, or how may we know and know that we know, if or when an individual, any individual, be he or she a king, a queen, a prime minister, a president, a politician, an elite or elitist, or a globalist, a scientist, a peasant, also known as a common subject or the common citizen, etc. How do we know? I know that we know that they are God-forsaken and condemned. And by extension, my people, how do we know that a nation, yes, a nation, a country, a people, how do we know, and how may we know, or how can we know that we know that they are God-forsaken and condemned, and that their fate, their ultimate fate, F-A-T-E, their ultimate fate is sealed, and their sure tragic and destructive demise is imminent? How do we know, and how can we really know and know that we know? Well, from the Mystic Philosopher's perspective and insight, the answer is very simple and straightforward, and need very little explanation or no explanation at all. It may only need some unapologetic emphasis, and definitely not compromise. No compromise. It needs no compromise. And the answer is this: we know, or we can know them by their shameless and flagrant practice of unrighteousness. Let me repeat that. We know, or we can know them by their shameless, they have no shame, and flagrant practice of unrighteousness. Talk to me, somebody. We know them by their wanton and unrepentant lives that they live and that they are living. And above all, we know them by their total disregard for righteousness, or for right living, or righteousness living. That's how we know them. You can know, or you will know, that the ship is sinking, or that the ship has sunken, and at the point of no return, by observing their overt and otherwise practice of what? Unrighteousness. and their total disregard for righteousness and for righteous living. And for your information, my people, my listeners, this question, how do we know the condemned and God-forsaken among us, devils among us? This question has been asked and answered many times before by wise men and by wise women and philosophers of old, sages of old. In fact, the answer to this question was both given, written, and prophesied well over 3,500 years ago. Recorded well over 3,500 years ago, and it can also still be found recorded today in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, also known as the Christian Holy Bible. According to Proverbs 14 and verse 34 from the New King James Version, and I quote, "Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people." Unquote. Let me repeat that. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. In other words, righteousness lift high the reputation and the status of a nation. Any nation. Righteousness lift high the reputation and status of a person or an individual. Righteousness causes a nation, a person, or an individual to be held in very high esteem. Righteousness causes a nation, a person, or an individual to be thought of and spoken of very highly. So, from just this one statement alone, when thought about properly, when analyzed, when dissected, this one statement, as recorded in, as I've quoted, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. We, from this one statement, we, the naturally intelligent, sentient, natural native earthly humans, we can and we must logically and sensibly deduce that if or when we see or hear of a nation, any nation, great or small, if or when we hear of a country, any country, great or small, be it so-called developed country or underdeveloped country or so-called first world or third world country, if or when we see or hear of a person or any person, be it a leader, any leader, be it a people or any people in decline, when we see or hear of them in decline, in rapid what I would call devolution, the opposite of evolving, devolution, and decelerating or deceleration, I might add. If or when we see or hear of it or of them being despised, being disparaged, being publicly and secretly mocked, being humiliated and being spoken of in disrepute, you name it or you name them, it is because of their what? Unrighteousness. It is because of their immoral acts. It is because of their immoral and unjust policies and practices. It is because of their lasciviousness. Simply put, it is because of their sins. And for emphasis, let me repeat the quote again. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach. Sin, also known as unrighteousness, the opposite of righteousness, is a reproach to any people, to anybody, to any nation. And what is this thing called righteousness? Some of you may ask, or might be asking, what am I talking about? And again, no, some of you that might be hearing me speak for the first time, and I've been patient and tolerant enough to listen to me this far into this presentation, because some of you won't. Once you start, truth start it, you have to run. But those of you who are patient enough, have been patient enough to listen to right up to this point, however, maybe around 15 minutes into this talk, if you listen this far, you might be thinking, some of you might be thinking that I am right, I'm religious. Some of you might even be even think that I am a religious preacher that is trying to convert and so-called save people's souls, etc. No, I'm not into the conning or the converting. So for the record, please let me publicly declare that I am not. I am the Mystic Philosopher. And as such, I do not, and I will not consciously or unconsciously suspend, or willingly, should I say, I will not consciously or unconsciously willingly suspend my innate ability to think and reason for the thing called religious faith. I will not submit or suspend my reasoning ability in place of for faith and substitute it with faith. Consequently, I employ logic and reason coupled with my activated common sense, which influence and dictate my conclusions. Now, with that said, let us hear the meaning and definition of the word religious, or rather, righteousness, from the English dictionary. Now, you know, this is not my language, so I always have to refer to the dictionary, to get an idea, to understand. They are the authority on the word. Well, according to one quick Google search, you can do it for yourself, dictionary, righteousness by meaning and definition is, and I quote, the quality of being morally right or justifiably, or rather justifiable, unquote. That is according to one quick Google search dictionary. Just type in the meaning and definition of the word, or the meaning of the word righteousness in Google, and that's one of the first things that will come up. Now, in my own words, righteousness is the quality, same thing saying in my own words, righteousness is the quality or state of being morally right. Not just being right. Yeah, not just being right, but morally right. Or the quality or state of being morally justifiable. A lot of people justify things, but is it morally? Is it moral? Is it morally justifiable? A lot of people are right in a lot of things and can prove how right they are, but is it morally right? We're talking about righteousness, and even the very dictionary, their language tell you morally and the condition of morality. Talk to me, somebody. So from this one quick Google search dictionary, we may interpret and conclude that righteousness is the practice of what? Ethics. Righteousness is the practice of honesty. Righteousness is the practice of morality. Righteousness is the practice of natural humanity. Righteousness is the practice of what? Human decency. And above all, righteousness is the practice of justice. And we must, and we may also conclude, that where there is not the practice of ethics, moral ethics, honesty, morality, natural humanity, human decency and justice, also known as fairness, then there is the abundance of what? Unrighteousness. And what is another word for unrighteousness? In fact, I must admit I learned that one in Sunday school. The opposite of unrighteousness is wickedness. In other words, wickedness abound when there is not the practice of the aforementioned. And for your information, wickedness, also known as unrighteousness, is a top-down thing. In other words, it begins at the top of the pyramid at the top of the society or the top of the country. It begins at the top of the organization. And like a river or like running water, it filters down. It filters its way down to the bottom. It begins with the head of the society, the head of the nation, or the head of the country, or the group, or the organization. It begins with all those that are in authority, and then it filters its way down to contaminate the ordinary peasants, to contaminate the ordinary subjects and the ordinary citizens. But because those in authority, now here's the thing, because those that are in authority are God-forsaken and condemned as a result of what? As a result of their wickedness, as a result of their unrighteousness, which is also, as I said before, known as what? Wickedness. Because of they are God-forsaken, they have deceived, and they are deceiving the very victims of their wickedness into believing that they, the victims, the people below them, are the cause of all the evils in that society or in that country or in that organization or in that group. For example, today we can both see and hear some of those so-called leaders having proven themselves to be some of the biggest and most notorious liars, thieves, deceivers, cheats. It's evidently proven themselves cheats and the most unconscionable human or humankind to ever set foot on this our planet and Mother Earth. You name it or you name them. We see and hear them presenting themselves to their victims as if they are angels of light, and as if it is the victims that are the guilty one. You hear some of these leaders come out and talking about crime and talking about violence and all of these things, when they are so perverted and condemned that they don't even know that they are the examples for the society. Let's look at another meaning and definition of the word righteousness. It's another meaning and definition. According to the etymology dictionary, the online etymology dictionary. And I quote, righteousness is, quote, character of being righteous, purity of heart, and rectitude of life. Rectitude of life. And for your information, the word rectitude by meaning and definition is morally correct behavior or morally correct thinking. And what is that again? Righteousness. It continues by saying righteousness is the being and doing right. Is being and doing right. Conformity in character and conduct to right standard. Unquote. And what is the thing or the behavior or action called sin? Again, from my perspective, this thing called sin may be best described using the English language as unrighteousness, or the opposite of righteousness. That's sin. If you're in sin, you're not right. You're not thinking right or doing right. Let me give you or share with you some more of my perspective and what I, the Mystic Philosopher, personally think righteousness is. In 2 words, righteousness is simply right thinking. Righteousness is correct thinking, or if you prefer, right thoughts. Entertaining and meditating upon right thoughts. If our thinking is right, and when our thinking is right and in accordance with the natural laws and principles of our source and mother nature, then we can and then we will only speak righteously, then we'll only do righteously and act righteously. For as a man thinks, as it is written, for as a man thinks in his heart or in his mind, so is he or she. Or may I say, as a man or a woman think in his or her heart, so is he or she. It's very important. So again, remember, when you see these people acting unrighteously and it burns you inside, you say, people, how can these leaders, how can these people in authority be so unfair? How can they be so unconscionable? Because they are condemned and forsaken by, even when God condemned them and forsake them. Because of their wickedness. Don't be deceived. Don't get carried away by them. And don't expect too much of them, because what do you expect? Mom would say you can't expect anything better from a hog but a grunt. If that's their characteristics, they're just going to be what they are. That's what they are. So unrighteous action is an unrighteous. So unrighteous action is, and unrighteous actions are the result of what? Wrong thinking or wrong thoughts. Unrighteous action is, and unrighteous actions are the result of corrupt thinking, corrupt thoughts, dishonest thinking, and dishonest thoughts. So now you know. And for your information, all unrighteous thinking people are also insane people. Also known as mad people. Unrighteous people are diseased people. Diseased people. Disease meaning they are not at ease. This hyphen ease. They are not at ease. They are not calm people. They are troubled people. They are fearful people. They are erratic people. Yes, they are not peaceful people. Or they are not comfortable people. And nor can they be in any wise comfortable or stable. They are unstable people. Unrighteous people are tyrants and psychopaths. Unrighteous people are seriously mentally disturbed people. See that one there, one of the worst diseases. Unrighteousness is one of the worst disease. Unrighteous people are unbalanced people. Just observe them, look at them. They are unbalanced. Unrighteous people are demonically possessed people. A different spirit or energy. It is AI working through them. But what's it that? Artificial. Remember, nature is natural, artificial is unnatural. It's two opposites. So when you see these people behave in a certain way and manifesting certain characteristics, that nature, you don't see nature, then you know that it is because of their unrighteousness. They are unstable. Yeah. They are demonically possessed people. And even though this is not a concept that I would personally embrace or endorse, but I think that is what Jesus, from the Bible, Yahushua, may have meant when he said, forgive them for they know not what they do. Well, I'm not into the business of forgiving unrighteous and wicked people. That's me. That's I, the Mystic Philosopher. But those who you can do it. I pray retribution and justice and judgment on them. And I wait the day when, because of their wickedness, but that's another subject for another time, my dearly beloved people. Now, unrighteous people, also known as wicked people, unrighteous people, aka wicked people, perverted people, are not functioning in their natural mind or in their right mind. Must remember that. They're mad people. Dangerous people. Extremely dangerous. Unrighteous people are aka wicked people, don't know right from wrong. They don't know right from wrong. Our people, please stand your ground for righteousness. They don't know right from wrong. Because of their demon possession, they cannot honestly and naturally distinguish right from wrong. In other words, unrighteous people, wicked people call right wrong. And they call wrong right. Yeah. They call up down and they call down up. You know what I'm talking about? They call man woman and woman man. They call truth lie and they call lie truth. They call good bad or evil. And they call bad or evil good. They call darkness light and light darkness. And that is the thinking and behavior of unrighteous, also known as wicked people. And it is by their fruits, also known as their deeds. That's how you know them and be able to be aware of them. Now hear this. This is a strict warning by my dearly beloved righteous listener. This is a strict warning to you, my dearly beloved righteous listeners and watchers. Listen carefully. Whatever you do, please don't share this video presentation with any unrighteous, any wicked and unrighteous people in an attempt, be sincere or not, to rebuke them. Please don't do that. Don't share it. Please avoid them watching this. Please don't go preach or tell an unrighteous person or an unrighteous, or tell a humankind, and by extension unrighteous people, wicked people, that they are unrighteous. Please don't do it. And not only because that is the last thing that these wicked people and unrighteous people would want to hear, but also because they are much too insane. They are much too psychopathic. They are much too corrupt to know that they are unrighteous, let alone to agree with you. From my perspective, as desperately wicked as these unrighteous people are, just like their spiritual father, Satan, the devil, they still try and they will do all that is in their power to deceive us by masquerading and presenting themselves as what? Angels of light, as good people, as people with good and honorable names. Yes, these people will kill you by exposing them, because their name, you know what I'm talking about. As I have said elsewhere before, if at all you first know yourself, and know that you know yourself, and know unrighteous people, if at all you first know yourself, and know that you know unrighteous people, know that you know wicked people, then you will, and then you must know that they are extremely dangerous people, and that they should and that they must be left alone to their own demise, because they are self-destructive. For thus it is written, listen carefully now, for thus it is written, do not rebuke mockers, or they will hate you. Rebuke wise, and they will love you. And that is according to the book of Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 8. Don't rebuke wicked people, mockers and wicked people. Do not rebuke or correct mockers, scoffers, scorners, aka sinners. In other words, do not try to correct unrighteous people. Do not try to correct wicked people. Do not try to correct immoral people. Do not try to correct perverts and dishonest people. And why? Because they will hate you. And when they hate you, they will hurt you and destroy you in any and every way possible. And unfortunately, because the evidence will both show and prove that they are the ones that are in power and authority, they have the power, they have the wherewithal to physically and otherwise hurt and destroy you or destroy us. That's why you must leave them alone. Don't correct them. Talk to other righteous people about them, but leave them alone. Yes, this is where the preachers and people going out trying to save people and correct people. No! If they were reading their own book, they would say, leave them. Don't rebuke them. If you know the man is a wicked man. It's like walking up to a madman with a machete in his hand and say, you're mad and I'm here to tell you about your madness. He may just chop your neck off, and he should, because you're stupid. Yes, for as I said, for as it is also written, when the righteous are in power, yes, these wicked people in power will hurt you. But here it is written again in the same book that most people who don't read, who are going out there trying to pray for these people and having big meat. No, it said, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear it rule, or when the wicked reign, the people mourn. And quote Proverbs 29 and verse 2. So you don't need have to ask the question why people are suffering and so much injustice is going on here, there, and everywhere. These wicked people, yes, because they're in power, they will sabotage you. They will censor you. They will shadow ban you. They will block you. They will persecute you. And last but not least, they will kill, murder, terminate, aka assassinate you. And by you, I don't mean you alone. No. My ancestors, them keep me. Until they're ready for me. From my perspective, my dear beloved people, unrighteous people, aka the practitioners of unrighteousness, should and must be left alone, again, as I said before, to their own demise, to their own self-destruction. Another thing you must know and remember at all times, and that is unrighteous or wicked people have no shame. Even though they are a disgrace to themselves and to the human race, they cannot be consciously disgraced. And their conscience, or what may be left of it, according to the sages of old again, have been sneered, or rather seared, as with a hot iron. Yes. So remember this, leave these devils alone. And don't go try to correct them and save them and convert them. No, con. Beware of any word that have the word con in it. So I tell you what, that is just my food for thought for this grand rising. And just to remind you, my very few listeners, few and cherished listeners, that I'm here and I'm still learning. I'm observing, speaking, and singing. So in the meantime and between time, please hit that subscribe button along with the bell right now, and stay tuned for my next soon to be uploaded video, if my source permits, or if my source will. Thanks for watching and for listening, and I do hope that I was again able to provoke you to see and to think of things a little differently, and also to identify unrighteous people and unrighteousness. Your comments, your feedback, and also your feed forward are always welcome and encouraged. In the meantime and between time, please hold it down. Rather, please hold it up. Talk about hold down. Hold it up. Hold it up, not down, my people. And be more and more and much, much more, and definitely not be less, aka bless. Be more, for I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Lundamare, Ayase.